A few weeks ago, I asked AI to build me the best draft in fantasy football for the upcoming season. We obviously went through that one, but in today's video, I've asked it yet again to build me a draft, and it's given me a completely new one. We're going to go through it, see which players it's predicting are going to do well over the opening couple game weeks, and maybe inspire you with some potential differential picks. Now, before we go and take a look at the AI draft, there are two things I want to say to you. First of all, thank you for your support that you've shown over the course of pre-season. Like I've been saying in all the videos, we are trying to hit 6,000 subscribers by the start of the new Premier League season. So if you do want to help me hit that goal, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And the second thing, obviously, if you haven't been watching any of my content this season, you won't know that we have partnered with Fantasy Football Hub. Obviously, for me personally, I feel like it's the best tool. It just is. It's honestly the easiest way to go and win your mini league this year. On screen right now is the team that I'm kind of tinkering with at the moment. As you can see, I really like the layout of this website as well, with all the kind of projected points for the upcoming game weeks. Obviously, giving you a team rating and overall predicted points rating as well. There are a ton of features as well on their websites. Predicted points, data comparing. There's just so many. Obviously, top articles as well from other top quality FPL managers as well. And currently, they are running a 50% off sale for the start of the season. So if you want to go and check it out, or at least go and get your team rated by AI, that's completely free. A link to that will be in the description, so go and check it out. But let's move on to the AI rated team. Now, before we go and take a look at the team itself, obviously this one did score 100% on the Fantasy Football Hub website. So obviously, like I said, there is a link to that in the description if you want to get your team rated for free by the AI. Right, let's start off with our goalkeeper picks first, and the AI has gone for Jordan Pickford and Turner. I think Turner realistically is just a 4 million goalkeeper. He's the most popular pick. For me personally, I'd probably say avoid him, because a lot of people, with him being quite highly owned, he could very easily drop to 3.9 or 3.8 if a lot of people wildcard early, obviously take him out of their team for whatever reason when they realise he's not going to be playing. So for me personally, I think I'd probably go for a different 4 million goalkeeper, just mainly down to the fact of how highly owned this guy is. You could lose 0.1, potentially 0.2 million. So when you go to wildcard, maybe you're looking to have rotating goalkeepers on your second wildcard, you're going to be losing a little bit of value in Turner himself. Jordan Pickford, on the other hand, I can get on board with it. I think he's a little bit steep coming in at 5 million. I would have preferred it if he was at 4.5, but the opening fixtures are pretty decent for Everton as well. And obviously, he was the highest point scoring goalkeeper last year. Everton defensively as well were a very, very solid team for clean sheets. I think it was 13 he managed to keep in the end, obviously just coming behind Raya for the Golden Glove again. Again, though, I imagine Everton are probably going to be up there again for clean sheets and for projected clean sheets as well. I think they're fourth on 11FI's model over the opening 7 game weeks as well. So a really, really good factor for picking Jordan Pickford. So I don't have any issues with that one. It's just my personal preference. I prefer 4.5 million goalkeepers, but I completely understand why Jordan Pickford has been selected by the AI. Right, let's move on into our defence. We're going to start off first with Gvardiol. I think he's verging on the word essential, slowly. I think if he starts the season well, he'll be entering a lot of people's teams. Obviously finished the back end of last year extremely well. Picked up, I think it was 6 or 8 attacking returns off the top of my head. I can't quite remember. Obviously they have a mixed run, I'd say, for the opening 7 game weeks. Obviously the highlights being Ipswich, West Ham, Brentford and Fulham. But also they have to face Chelsea, Arsenal and Newcastle. So not the easiest fixture run. But again, it is Manchester City. You would still back them to do extremely well. They were second for XG conceded last year. So again, buying into a very good defence with a player that has the capability to go and put up some mega hauls throughout this season. So that one also gets a big seal of approval from me as well. Moving on to Gabriel, a player who started floating his way into my team. I do think I prefer William Saliba. I think he's just got that little bit more safety in minutes, to be honest. He seems like Arteta's go-to man. Gabriel was the one that he was obviously fluctuating with throughout the course of the season as well. So I think I would prefer going for Gabriel Saliba. I personally don't think the Arsenal fixtures are that great over the opening 5. Obviously, they've got Villa, Tottenham and Manchester City within those. So not the easiest, and I wouldn't expect them to go and get the most clean sheets. But data-wise, it's fancying them to do quite well. Obviously, Fantasy Football Hub's model's doing, really, really good for predicted points. And then 11ify's clean sheet model as well also has Arsenal as the top team for projected clean sheets over the opening 6 game weeks as well. So maybe I'm just missing out on something, or maybe I'm, just questioning a little bit of the data. Who knows? Let me know what you think of that one down in the comments. But the data and projected points are all leading to kind of targeting that Arsenal defence. Finally, our final player in the starting 11, it is going to be Trent Alexander-Arnold coming in at 7 million. The opening fixtures for Liverpool are absolutely stellar, and I can 100% see why the AI has selected him in their potential team as well. Really, really good set of fixtures. I think despite the limited minutes he played last season, he still put up pretty decent attacking numbers as well. Obviously, I think in the last one it had Andy Robertson, but with him being an injury doubt over pre-season, obviously that has meant that he has now parted ways from the AI's team. It now has Trent Alexander-Arnold. I think realistically, trying to get any of those Liverpool defenders for that opening run could be a really, really good bet. And with Trent, you obviously have the attacking returns, all the stuff that we're very, very familiar with in his game as well. Obviously, it's going to be a new manager, so potentially a new system, so that potentially could be something that you might need to look out for. But I still think Trent is a very, very decent pickup for the opening couple weeks. Moving on to the other 2 defenders, it is going to be just 2 4 million defenders, but when we're being blessed with so much quality in that position, I think you've got to take advantage of it. Barco probably should be decent throughout the kind of start of the season, with Estepinian being rumoured to be back at various points. So if you need him to come off the bench, he could be a decent option. And then Wout Faes, again, very similar, could be a really decent option. Obviously got Harwood Bellis, but that would mean a triple Southampton up, so probably that's why the AI has selected Wout Faes. But yeah, there's plenty of good quality options at that 4 million price range, so it does make sense why the AI has gone for a big back 3. Realistically, I think you could play in every single fixture this season, and then just 2 duds that are just going to sit on the bench probably for the majority of the season, unless they are playing newly promoted sides or sides that are looking a little bit desperate throughout courses of the season. Moving on into the midfield, we're going to start off with Eze. Now, obviously with him, I think the big debate is how the impact of Michael Olise and whether or not it's going to obviously impact Palace's attacking ways. He contributed to 16 goals last season, did Michael Olise. So Eze's got big boots to stand up to, but the guy knows how to score goals. The guy knows how to create. The guy knows how to take free kicks, corners, and now with Olise leaving, probably going to be on penalties as well. So you're getting yourself a talisman with some pretty steady fixtures at the opening start of the season for 7 million. So I can understand why the AI and Fantasy Football Hub's model is rating Eze so highly as well, so I can get on board with that one. The next player is going to be Son. The opening 2 fixtures for me are stellar. Leicester and Everton, definitely a little bit of captaincy potential with that game week 1 game if you don't fancy going for Mohamed Salah as well, so that could be a little bit of a decent route into some points there if you wanted to go down that route. After that though, they do start to drain away with Newcastle and Arsenal, so maybe finding a little bit of budget could be a little bit more beneficial to this side. Maybe dropping, in my opinion, Brereton Diaz down to a 5 million or a 4.5, leave a little bit of money in the bank, and then you can switch over to Cole Palmer after those opening 2 fixtures. So that's just something to potentially think about with that one. I think for the opening few weeks, Son will be a great option and probably a differential as well going into those opening few weeks. But I feel after that, the fixtures aren't quite there, and when you are paying a premium for these players, I feel like they need to be producing some good attacking outlets. Obviously, in the last one, they had Foden and KDB in the AI draft. I think Phil Foden, with obviously comments around Pep saying he might not be available for game week 1, has probably skewed and altered the fantasy football projected points model, so that is why he has probably dropped out. But he could also be a fantastic little pickup and give you obviously some City coverage for their game week 2 game against Ipswich. Moving on to our next player, it is going to be Bukayo Saka. Obviously, we've spoke about the Arsenal fixtures. I personally think they're a little bit shaky, but again, offers a decent captaincy option in match day 1 and match day 3. But for me, I'm just not a fan of Saka. I'm trying to work him into my team because I'm seeing a lot of top other managers pick him, and obviously we know how good this lad can be, but there might still be a little bit of fatigue. Played quite a lot of minutes at the Euros. Again, I think throughout the course of the season as well was just kind of carrying a knock. It seemed consistently him and Haaland were just kind of which one's not going to be available this week or which one's going to be appearing in the game but probably shouldn't. And, you know, Saka had that obviously meme kind of going around about him limping as well all the time. So again, I think it's a decent pickup, but I'm not overly convinced by the fixtures, but I do get it. I think he is a fantastic player and will do exceptionally well. I think maybe though the budget could be utilised a little bit better, so I'm going to disagree with the AI on that one. One that I'm not going to disagree on is Mohamed Salah. Liverpool's opening fixtures are great. He offers a fantastic captaincy option in matchday 1, matchday 2, matchday 4, 5 and 6 as well. So a really, really good captain. Obviously as well, if you aren't going to go with Erling Haaland in any of your teams, Salah probably the second best shout for captaincy and for consistency of being the captaincy as well. So for me, pretty good to pick up, and he's been doing quite well over pre-season as well. So I agree with that one on the Hub's predicted AI team. Next up is going to be Ben Brereton Diaz, a recent arrival back to the Premier League for Southampton. Obviously was on loan last year at Sheffield United and did exceptionally well. I think it was 8 attacking returns in 16 games for him at the back end of a very poor season for Sheffield United and a very despondent team as well. So if he can get himself, you know, a little bit of motivation towards the start of the season with a new team, obviously there'll be high spirits at the start of the year. Some pretty decent fixtures as well after the Newcastle game, Nottingham Forest, Brentford, Manchester United, Ipswich and Bournemouth. So for 5.5 million, might not be a bad shout. Like I said, the data was definitely there for him last season. I think maybe security around minutes might be a little bit of a risk with him being a newly promoted player. I'm someone that personally doesn't like to target newly transferred players in, just because I feel like you never know what the manager's going to be thinking. You never know what condition they come into the Premier League in as well. So for me, that's always my kind of advice on that one. I tend to usually avoid them, but if he starts the season pretty well, could be a very handy option at 5.5 million. Right, let's finish up this AI 100% rated draft. We are going to finish with our 3 forwards, Chris Wood, Alexander Isak and Stewart. Let's start off with Chris Wood first. The Nottingham Forest fixtures are really, really decent to start the season, to be honest. Even if you exclude the Liverpool game in match day 4, maybe have some rotation options around Chris Wood there. You could realistically hold him all the way up to match day 7 when they obviously face Chelsea at that point. They are playing one of the newly promoted teams. It is away, it is Southampton, but some pretty decent home fixtures. Bournemouth, Wolves and Fulham as well. So some really handy fixtures in there. 14 goals for Chris Wood last season. His per 90 data as well was pretty exceptional for a cheap dud forward, playing for a lesser of a side as well. So again, for me, Chris Wood could be a great little shout at £6 million. I think I prefer him over Muniz and João Pedro as well. Moving on to a guy that I think is just going to be in everybody's team and probably essential. It is going to be Alexander Isak. 0.83 goals per 90 for him last season. Exceptional. 20 goals. He was just unbelievable, wasn't he? Start the season well to Newcastle, some great home fixtures in there as well, and even the Tottenham game in matchday 3 is not a write-off. Spurs really struggle at St James's Park, and Alexander Isak and Anthony Gordon absolutely ripped him apart last season at St James's Park as well. So again, very similar situation could be happening there. And then the final player is going to be Stewart. He's a 4.5 million forward. Again, though, I think his minutes might be a little bit more limited now with Ben Brereton Diaz joining the club. I think they were looking for a second striker. I think now he realistically is that second choice striker ahead of Stewart. So probably means that he's going to be just making some cameos off the bench. But for 4.5 million, I don't hate it. Overall, I think this team looks a lot more stronger than what we saw from the last side. There was obviously a lot more kind of nuance picks in the last AI draft. I think this one looks a lot more structured and is a really steady no Haaland but pro Salah draft as well. So for me, I think this one's probably going to get an 8 out of 10 from my perspective. I think it's a really good draft. Like I said, if you want to go and get your team rated by Fantasy Football Hub's AI algorithm, I'll link to that in the description. And like I said, if you did enjoy any of the content, be sure to like, comment and subscribe. But thank you very much for watching today, ladies and gentlemen, and good luck in game week 1.